just about 10 minutes.
SRS could be the first major employer in our area to follow through with the federal vaccine mandate and fire employees starting tomorrow. According to emails forwarded to us from employees, starting tomorrow, some Savannah River Nuclear Solution employees will be turning in their badges. That includes those who've been working remotely for months. SRNS employs more than 11,000 people. Following President Biden's call for the federal vaccine mandate, they announced back in September employees had until October 15th to have at least one dose. The company responding saying the health and safety of the site workforce continues to be the priority of SRS leadership. It is anticipated that some unvaccinated employees will choose to retire or discontinue employment if they choose not to comply with the vaccine mandate and have not been approved for a legal exemption.
More twists and turns in the Murdaugh family saga.
The man police say was part of a botched murder for hire plot with Alec Murdaugh tells his side of the story. Curtis Smith telling the New York Times Murdaugh called him out to the side of a rural road. Smith says Murdaugh handed him a loaded gun and told him to shoot him in the head. When Smith wouldn't do it, he says Murdaugh then shot the gun himself. Curtis Smith facing several charges in connection to all of this, and so does Murdaugh. At this point, Alec Murdaugh is out of jail. He's in a rehab facility as of this afternoon. A police recruit is dead in Gwinnett County after a medical emergency.
It happened during physical training they were having at the department's training center. Jamie Kennedy breaks down what we know so far.
EMTs rushed to the Gwinnett County Police Training Facility after recruit Donette collapsed early Tuesday morning.
A recruit with 112th Training Academy experienced a medical emergency this morning and was transported to a local hospital where he later died.
Police say Donette was on the physical training course when staff noticed he was lethargic. They say he was instructed to rest and sit down. After some time passed, he wanted to continue but still seemed confused. At some point he collapsed and department EMTs treated him before he stopped breathing and CPR was started.
The medical examiner is examining the cause of death and we don't have that determination at this time.
Donette was 41 years old and police say was checked out before going on to the training course. Police say they have had recruits in their 50s trained before.
The age ranges for all our recruits. There's no age specific.
Donette's death marked the first time a Gwinnett County police recruit has died during training, according to police. His death has hit hard with everyone in the department. He leaves behind a wife and 2 daughters.
It is an emotional time here for Gwinnett County Police and the training staff and the recruits. We have procedures in place to ensure that they receive counseling services.
Yesterday was Donette's second day of training. The department is extending condolences to his family.
The Cyber Center just keeps expanding, and there's a new organization on board. The Savannah River National Laboratory just moved in, and they partnered with AU on their new lab.
Computer science students will be able to get hands-on experience here with cyber experts in this new program.
Having them have a chance to work with us in our research environment, hopefully what their appetite to continue to look at cybersecurity as it pertains to the Department of Energy and the Department of Energy's priorities. I think there's going to be a lot of interaction, and I think it's going to be an extremely good experience for the students.
And coming up in the next hour, our Celeste Springer is working on a story about how this program is helping to keep our local computer science grads here to keep up with all this cyber growth.
The most profound experience, the oldest man to go into space, reflecting on his journey today and the impact it's having on him right now. Riley.
High temperature is going to stay pretty.
Halloween may fall on a Sunday, but one of our local towns is changing the day they're going to be trick-or-treating. Thompson making the announcement that trick-or-treating is going to be in the city on Saturday instead.
And they say they hope everyone has a safe and fun time on the 30th, but that is the only town in our entire area so far we have heard of. So everybody else, Halloween is Halloween.
It's easier to keep up with that one.
Yeah, right.
Halloween on Halloween until you hear otherwise.
Yes. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Fall is in the air, and a lot of people are on the hunt for that perfect pumpkin. Over at Steve's Dairy, they say they've already had a lot of people coming by, with even more crowds pouring in this past weekend.
They also added 2 more acres of land to give people plenty of space to social distance, and they say they really couldn't be more thankful to see these smiling faces from people in the community, both old and young.
We actually had people coming by before we even opened, wanting corn stalks and pumpkins and everything else. It's been a really busy year as far as Halloween's concerned.
So if you'd like to stop by and grab a pumpkin or take some pictures, they're open on the weekend from 10 in the morning until 9 at night Saturday, and then from 1 to 7 on Sunday. just a good time over there. Can't wait to see the place myself. And Riley says before too long, the weather's going to match the calendar.
We are excited for all the pumpkin spice things. I did go ahead, even though it was not the right weather, and order pumpkin spice the other day.
Because it's October.
It's October. We are kind of in that threshold where it's acceptable for pumpkin spice, and it actually will feel like fall as we head into the weekend. And the next couple of days, it will be a little bit warmer, but still great to get outside. If you do want any more sweater weather out there for us, a lot cooler than the warm weather we'll see the next few days.
More than 50 years ago, as Captain Kirk, William Shatner traveled in space every week, really, on the iconic science fiction series Star Trek.
Yes, he did.
An icon.
He is still an icon. And today, no soundstage, no special effects, as this actor made history as an actual astronaut, traveling to the very edge of space. Jay Gray has a closer look at this trip.
New Shepard pushing away from the West Texas desert and gravity on a mission, blurring the lines between science fiction and a new era of exploration. A member of the four-person crew, William Shatner.
Now give us warp speed.
The actor, who more than half a century earlier as Captain Kirk introduced the idea of space travel to a generation of fans, now at 90, becoming the oldest person to travel to space.
Welcome to space. The newest astronauts on board our crew capsule.
The trip just over 10 minutes, including 3 minutes in zero gravity, then falling back to Earth.
That was unlike anything they described.
The reality for the iconic actor, overwhelming as he shares his thoughts with Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos just minutes after landing.
What you have given me is the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary.
The magnitude of the experience, the thin line between Earth's atmosphere and the vastness of what's beyond, leaves Shatner struggling to explain his brief journey.
It's just, there is Mother Earth and comfort, and is there death? I don't know. Is that death? Is that the way death is? Whoop, and it's gone. Jesus.
The mission, with one caveat, fulfilling a promise made so long ago, to boldly go where no man his age has gone before.
And I cannot listen to him explain it without getting emotional myself. Just amazing he was able to take it all in.
You know, my dad fought in Vietnam, and he always said there's no atheists in foxholes. I bet there are no atheist astronauts.
Sure, I know.
Could you imagine what that must have been like?
Just incredible for him and for the crew as well. But that is classic to see him at 90 years old. Look how good he looks.
Yeah, I mean, I could listen to him narrate my whole life.
Exactly. We were just hoping he would get up there and have something to say, and he absolutely had something to say. Love
Very
that.
cool.
Okay, it's almost time for the James Brown Turkey giveaway, and you can register to get yours. Just head to the James Brown Arena October 23rd, the 30th, or November the 6th from 9 to 11. Bring your ID. Bring your proof of where you live. That could be a lease. It could be a bill. The actual turkey giveaway coming up November 22nd.
Reconnecting with the healthcare workers who saved her life. We've got the emotional reunion on First at 5.
Guess which?
A Florida woman says the staff at an Orlando hospital saved her life after she caught COVID.
Now, as Gail Pascal Brown reports, she's reuniting with those same healthcare workers.
56-year-old Maureen Woods came back to Orlando Health Central Hospital in Ocoee for an emotional reunion.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you did for me and for my husband while I was here. Words can't express how much I'm grateful.
It was amazing to realize exactly how many people had a hand in my recovery.
It's where this COVID-19 survivor spent nearly 3 weeks in a coma fighting to survive.
There were some times when we didn't know if my wife was going to make it, and they were telling me to keep positive thoughts, and we've got the best doctors and the best people looking after her.
On July 24th, the Levy County woman was admitted after intense pain from a kidney stone while visiting Disney World.
I ended up septic and my lung collapsed. I had pneumonia. I got COVID. My organs started shutting down.
She spent 39 days in the critical care unit, a total of 53 days as a hospital patient.
Her oxygen levels were very, very low. she had some very critical points where we had some really difficult conversations.
For the rest of her stay, Maureen Woods was transferred to Orlando Health's inpatient rehab unit before she was discharged. She crossed the rehab finish line.
With, the COVID and, how many patients they lose on a regular basis. Having somebody like me who came through all of this come back and thank them and say, I'm alive because of you. I hope they go home tonight feeling very good about what they do.
So many healthcare heroes out there, still out there, because we're still fighting them.
Sure, yeah, and not everybody gets to go back and say thank you like she did, so I know that means so much to staff.
Yeah. Well, filming for a new TV show is taking over some of the streets in Tybee Island. It's called The Girl from Plainville.
Yeah, all the businesses in the area of the movie set have to be closed down for a couple of days, and that's expensive, and the mayor says they've been trying to make sure businesses and neighbors impacted are on board with this film project.
Most people kind of like the idea of a film being made in their hometown, but there are some people who see it completely as an inconvenience and a nuisance. And that's what we're trying to make sure, that those people are not inconvenienced, or as inconvenienced as little as possible.
And the businesses that have to close down during all of this will be reimbursed for the sales they're losing. So paid vacation is what I take that as.
That's a pretty good settlement there.
Yeah.
If you love a good happy hour, how about a happy hour with your pup? Coming up tonight, you can take your dog to the SPCA Aubry Center in Aiken. A local artist will be there to draw a portrait of you and your pet, just like the ones here, in exchange for a $15 donation to the center. There's also a grill out, live music, raffles, free waived adoptions, all going on from 6 until 8 o'clock tonight. All in all, a pretty good time, Riley.
Yeah, and the weather looks perfect out there this evening if you are stepping out to head out to the Albright Center. Temps will hold steady.
Fitter today.
I imagine there's a woman inside each of us. One without the doubts of self-expression. One with the confidence to seize the day. One who isn't afraid to fall in love. She is beautiful the way she is. And her jewelry from Windsor is just a reminder.
Cracks in your brick, cracks in your wall.
But finally, a taste of fall by Sunday.
Still to come, a man is in critical condition after an incident with Richmond County deputies. The traffic stop, the arrest, and the medical emergency when First at 5 continues.
Our Will Rio is here to break down what happened leading up to a medical emergency that landed Jones in the hospital.
Well, it all started here at the intersection of Highland Avenue and Clifton Street. That's across from Daniel Field. That's where deputies say they stopped a black SUV with multiple people inside. They say Jones ran from the scene, and that's when one deputy tased him. Now, I spoke with Jones's family today, and they say he is still in critical condition. They say he has multiple brain bleeds and is now in a full coma after being tased by deputies. Jermaine's father was with him when they were pulled over. They were coming from a tow yard when around 6 police cars pulled them over. That's when deputies say they found a gun, and Jones ran from there. His father says he didn't get far before he was tased in the back and fell to the ground, but he never fell on his head as previously stated. His father says he saw deputies on top of his son hitting him. Now Jones's family says this wasn't from just being tased.
My mother's worst nightmare. I know it's like you wouldn't think that hit close to home. I know it's happening, but I never thought I would be up here from the police hurting my son.
Jermaine Jones does have some history with law enforcement. We'll break that down coming up on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
All right, Will, looking forward to your follow-up there at 6 o'clock. Much more news.
Forecast in just about 10 minutes.
Jury duty notices have been sent out to 1,000 people for the trial in the Ahmaud Arbery case. 600 people have been told to show up for that jury selection, and if that's not enough to pick a jury, they do have 400 more on standby.
Gregory and Travis Mcmichael and Ronnie Bryant set to face those murder charges in Aubry's death. While the case happened in coastal Georgia, Aubry's family actually lives in the Waynesboro area. That jury selection begins Monday.
A missing woman's family still worry for her after a person of interest with local ties in Burke County was arrested. Yesterday morning, officials arrested Emmanuel Bedford.
That was for grand larceny and obstruction of justice charges. He is a person of interest in the disappearance of 41-year-old Deidre Reed, and her family says he's also the father of her child.
As Morgan Newell reports, Reed's family just wants answers.
This has ever affected all of us in ways that you can't imagine.
It's a day the Reeds have been waiting for, hearing Emmanuel Bedford is in custody.
Put our mind not at ease, knowing that Deidre's not nowhere to be found.
They have more hope now that Bedford will lead investigators to Deidre. Right now, they say he's not giving them anything.
I just hope that Emmanuel will tell us where she at, whether it's good or bad. We just want to know where she at.
I hate that he did this to my sister, got her missing. Everybody makes mistakes, but he got to face the music.
Police consider Bedford a person of interest in connection with her disappearance. Her brother, James Reed, says her kids are hurting the worst right now, especially the youngest, Reed's 7-year-old she has with Bedford.
He dreams about his dad standing over him. He's just petrified right now. He just don't understand why would somebody that say they love him would take that mother away from him.
They all want closure, but as eyes tear and voices tremble, James Reed says they need it especially for his nephew.
You don't have to do it for me. You don't have to do it for my siblings. Do it for your son. You owe your son that. Give your son closure.
Reed's siblings say Bedford is the father of Deidre's youngest child. The investigation is still ongoing and multiple agencies are now involved. The Aiken County School District changing their quarantine guidelines. Until now, if a student tested positive and had close contact with another student, both students would have to be quarantined unless both students were wearing a mask. Now, as long as a close contact student is wearing a mask, it no longer matters if the person who tested positive is masked up or not. The close contact student does not need to quarantine.
South Carolina's abortion law making its way on a challenge to Mississippi's new abortion law. Atlanta deputies preventing mayhem. The department releasing a pretty dramatic video of a man being arrested for DUI. They say they found a man who appeared to be unconscious in his car. They tapped on his window until he eventually woke up. And when he saw the officers, yeah, he took off. And unfortunately, he took off towards oncoming traffic. One of the officers chased down that car. The car didn't stop until after Brooks caught up with the car and broke the window with his baton. The man was arrested and charged with multiple traffic offenses.
Boy, a lot of close calls in that one story. Well, less than 24 hours ago, the Braves punching their ticket to the NLCS, and we're still celebrating. Isn't it good to see social media in such a good mood for a change? Sports director Mike Yakachona is live in the studio. Mike, just how special was this?
You know, last night we heard Brian Snicker call it a storybook ending to the series, and many of the players said there was no comparing to winning the NLDS last year. But let's hear it from the players themselves.
You know, these are the things that when I'm done playing, hopefully a long, long time from now, that I'll be able to look back and, you know, kind of remember this moment. And it's special. This is what you dream of when you're a kid, you know, you really do, hitting a homer to clinch a playoff. And for it to happen, it's kind of amazing. It really is.
I am so happy. I'm so happy to win 3 games. Before in my playoff, I never win. I don't know how I feel that, but I feel great.
I know someone's wondering who had the best celebration. Travis Darno has your answer.
Of course it was Jock. Of course it was Jock, spraying champagne everywhere with the cigar in his mouth. And of course he had his pearls on. Yeah, he had a lot of fun. And Ozzy had fun too. William Contreras and Noah had a lot of fun too. Yeah, those are the moments I'll never forget and that nobody will ever forget.
Gotta love those pearls. Braves take on the winner of the Dodgers-Giants series. Game 5 for that one is tomorrow.
Breast cancer impacts women for the most part, but men also have to be aware. A story of survival when we come back.
And we enjoyed dry weather again this afternoon.
It is a great time of year. The South Carolina State Fair kicking off in Columbia today. They have safety measures in place this year, like extra cleaning and hand sanitizer, masks, and social distancing.
One vendor has been selling food at the fair for 56 years, and now he says the drive-through fair last year just was not the same.
People really enjoyed it and they appreciate it, but it's not like being at the fair. We predict that it's going to be capacity crowds every day because people are just missing it.
I wonder how many corn dogs he's eaten.
Today, you mean?
If I had that job, that would be dangerous. But I do love fair food. You have until the 24th to head to Columbia, check it out, get a funnel cake, some deep fried Oreos,
all that.
Turkey leg.
Yeah, last year was better than nothing, that drive-through thing they did, but this year the fair is back. And look at that ride, Riley. Would you dare to do that one?
Oh, I don't know. gotta be careful with those carnival rides.
It's got the flipping and the spinning.
The older you get, you just start contemplating your own mortality, right? You're like,
is it worth it?
Hey, look, William Shatner went to space today. He's 90.
That is true.
He's 90.
That took a lot of bravery, too,
Right.
going all the way up there. But that was really in the 70s, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Not a whole lot of rain in our 7-day forecast. Just could squeeze out a few showers on Saturday.
Riley, thanks. When it comes to breast cancer awareness, men are not usually included in that conversation, but men can be diagnosed with breast cancer too.
The CDC says about 1 out of every 100 people diagnosed with breast cancer in the U.S. are men. Billie Jean Shaw introduces us to a survivor.
10 years ago, Raymond Johnson experienced an excruciating pain in his chest that just wouldn't go away.
So I went to the emergency room, and 2 days leading up to that, I found out it was cancer.
Breast cancer, to be exact. At the time of his diagnosis, Raymond was only 26 years old.
Hearing at that age, you never hear anything about, and at that time, you never heard anything about males having breast cancer. So I was really shocked when I found out I was stage 3.
Fortunately, the cancer was contained behind his nipple, and doctors were able to start treatment before it began spreading throughout his body. But in order to make sure everything stayed in the clear, Raymond had to make a tough decision.
The doctor and the plastic surgeon came to me. It was like, you want to keep one nipple, or we can take one nipple and tattoo one. I always tell him I'm a male. I don't need nipples. I got a bilateral mastectomy.
Raymond proudly wears his scars. It's a reminder of survival. He also openly discusses his battle with breast cancer on social media, hoping his story motivates other men to listen to their bodies when something isn't right.
Self-care is everything, so that you can be there for everyone and yourself.
Really important message there. Doctors say signs of breast cancer in both men and women are about the same. Symptoms include a lump with or without pain, a discharge, or wrinkled skin.
And ways to prevent breast cancer include exercising and eating healthy food. So good advice really for healthy living in general.
Good to put the word out. A lot of pink this month, and that's as it should be. We don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good time and family movie nights in the back.
6 o'clock.
Jobs are on the line for employees at the Savannah River site with a vaccine mandate taking effect tomorrow. We'll hear from workers who say they have a real problem about the policy.
But first up, a Richmond County man fighting for his life after a run-in with sheriff's deputies.
Nobody is perfect. You know, everybody know he has a record or whatever, but he's not a bad person.
Up-to-date coverage near you.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Jobs are on the line for employees at the Savannah River site with a vaccine mandate taking effect tomorrow. We'll hear from workers who say they have a real problem about the policy.
But first up, a Richmond County man fighting for his life after a run-in with sheriff's deputies.
Nobody is perfect. You know, everybody know he has a record or whatever, but he's not a bad person. He definitely don't deserve it. Period.
24-year-old Jermaine Jones in critical condition after the sheriff's office says one of its deputies tased him during a traffic stop.
News 12's Will Rose spent the day digging into this case, and he's live in our studio to walk us through what led up to this.
Well, it all started here at the intersection of Highland Avenue and Clifton Street near Daniel Field. That's where deputies say they stopped a black SUV with multiple people inside. They say Jones ran from the scene, and that's when one deputy tased him. On the way to jail, we're told Jones experienced a medical emergency, putting him in critical condition. We found this isn't Jones's first run-in with law enforcement. I talked to the family today who say they believe more happened than just being tased. Kiana Gaines has spent the last 2 days in the hospital, sitting next to her son.
My mother's worst nightmare.
Jones's dad tells us on Monday, Richmond County deputies pulled over their black SUV. He says he was inside along with their son, Jermaine Jones Jr., and one other person. They were leaving a tow yard, and Jones tells us the deputies found a gun in the SUV.
It was his instinct to run because he on probation. He ain't supposed to be around.
Jones ran from the deputies, but his dad said he didn't get far before getting tased in the back and hitting his head on the ground.
How he gonna fall that hard from a tase? I read there, I watched the whole thing.
The GBI report says there was a struggle between deputies and Jones while they tried to detain him.
It was on him beating him. I'm jumping up like, hey man, that's my child. What are y'all doing?
Jones was taken to the detention center where deputies reported he had a medical emergency. Now Jones is in a coma in critical condition.
They had to do something to my child.
And he was hit in his head and his blunt force trauma to his head.
Jones Jr. is on probation for aggravated assault for pointing and shooting a gun at his girlfriend in 2019. In the same year, he was charged with a simple battery misdemeanor for allegedly punching his girlfriend in the face.
Nobody's perfect. You know, everybody know he has a record or whatever, but he's not a bad person.
The family believes there's more to the story than deputies tasing Jones.
I want my child to make it through this, and I want justice. And I'm not going to stop till I get it.
Now, the GBI is handling this investigation. That's fairly common if an investigation is required into the actions of a deputy. I reached out to the GBI to see if there's any updates on the investigation. They responded back with no new info.
Will, thanks very much, and stay on top of that for us if you would. Quick look outside now as we check.
Weekend. We'll have that full outlook in just about 10 minutes.
People across the river region could be out of a job as one of our largest employers starts to mandate COVID vaccines.
Last month, the Savannah Riverside announced all of its employees must be fully vaccinated by November 30th. Tomorrow, they'll start letting go workers who haven't gotten their first dose yet.
News 12's Kennedy Harris live for us now in our newsroom. And Kennedy, you spoke with SRS employees today who say they're about to be fired without a fair chance. Why is that?
Well, Richard, employees are upset because they say SRNS denied all religious exemptions without evaluating their request, which means tomorrow some employees will be turning in their badge.
I've not been vaccinated previously, so this is nothing new for me.
Tim Carnes has worked with Savannah River Nuclear Solutions for nearly 10 years. He even worked his way up to a team leader. But on Friday,
We'll be turning in our access badges, our equipment, if we have any. They'll be removing our rights to access the site.
the company announced the mandate on September 2nd. At that time, SRNS had 11 on-site team members hospitalized within the last 2 months, and 4 workers died from COVID. On October 11th, several employees tell us their request for a religious exemption was denied.
My understanding is there are going to be hundreds of employees that will be separating. I believe that's a loss for the company. I believe it's a loss for the community. It's a catastrophic impact to each individual family.
In the denial letter, SRNS says they did not evaluate the sincerity of the request, and frequent testing would impose an undue burden on the company. As a remote employee, Tim was hoping to keep working from home.
Yes, we have shown as employees that we can telework, we can keep the workplace safe.
But SRNS hasn't budged, sending another email saying the mandate is permanent and the next step is termination.
I believe they've overreached, and I believe I would really love to see them reconsider.
And just in the last couple of hours, we're hearing back from SRNS. They won't tell us how many employees they expect to let go, but say it's constantly changing, and lower than what we've heard, which is hundreds. In a statement, they say, in part, vaccines provide us with the most effective tool to help ensure a safe work environment. They go on to say unvaccinated employees will lose site access after this Friday, but they will have the opportunity to return to work if they get fully vaccinated by November 30th.
Okay, and we will stay on top of this. Kennedy, thank you. We asked a constitutional rights attorney about the legality of the decision to deny religious exemptions, and he says in this case, SRNS decided the risk to the workplace outweighs giving someone a religious exemption, and the employer is allowed to make that decision.
Happening now, Richmond County's redistricting committee giving you another chance to weigh in on how the districts are being redrawn. This is a
Still ahead on News 12 at 6 o'clock. At just 8 years old, he's on his way to the Drive, Chip, and Putt Championship. Hear what he says is the best part of his game, and watch our own Nick Proto try to take him on.
And we are staying warm and dry the next couple of days, but big changes in store for the weekend forecast. We'll take a look at that just after the break.
And also a new space full of new opportunities. We're going to check out the Georgia Cyber Center's new neighbor and how they're helping local students get real-world experience.
Dimension is free. We are Augusta's trusted specialist and only national erectile dysfunction provider. Call Peak Performance for Men today.
There is a brand new tenant at the Georgia Cyber Center. Our first look inside the new space for the Savannah River National Laboratory. They're first in Georgia. Soon, students from Augusta University will get to use this lab with hands-on experience in the cyber world.
News 12 Celeste Springer live now from the Cyber Center with how this collaboration can really help grow the cyber community for decades to come. Celeste, really good jobs out there.
Absolutely, there are. And in fact, next week is actually Cybersecurity Careers Awareness Month, and that's pretty timely here at the Cyber Center where there's so much growth going on. SRNL has just headed here, and they're creating a new program teaming up with students from AU. And the hope is that those students will stay here post-grad. Michael Schaffer says this area under construction is about to become the Cyber Center's next collaborative space.
This is what we call the innovation floor.
Getting different organizations together to think tank is what the Cyber Center is all about.
It's about bringing people together, and typically you get some better solutions to whatever the challenge is.
And though this workspace is still in construction, a new collaborative project has just opened.
We're creating an ecosystem here.
The Savannah River National Laboratory just moved in, and they have a new computer lab in a partnership with AU. Computer science students will be heading here to get hands-on experience from the experts.
We are trying to provide trained and educated students to become a workforce for them so that people can come here, they can become educated here in Augusta, and they can stay here and hopefully contribute to the field of cybersecurity.
It's a win-win for everyone. Students get their foot in the door, and SRNL gets eyes on some possible future employees.
Right now, cybersecurity has about 40% more jobs than there are actually people to fill them.
Educating here and keeping those jobs here.
I'm excited to see it. And, this is about, keeping great talent in the area and building on what we have here already.
Getting people experience and opening the door for future employees who will hopefully keep their knowledge here and continue to grow our cyber hub. And there are several scholarships out there for computer science students who plan to sign on to Department of Defense jobs. We'll have information and links to all that on our website, wrdw.com.
So many good jobs out there, and we would love for those students to stay right here.
Well, if you've been down I-20 lately,